Welcome back to the channel. As you all know, I love cars, I love working on them, I love rebuilding them, and the biggest problem is, if you have a lot of cars, is the batteries. The cars sit for months and the batteries die, and I have a solution for that. So VDIAGTOOL actually sent me this battery tester. Whether it's a car, a motorcycle, a boat, you can actually test any battery, any size battery. For example, this one is for 422, and it seemed to be weak. It probably needs to be charged, and maybe bad, maybe good, I don't know. This is a brand new battery here. These are actually used batteries. So we're gonna go through the yard and test a few batteries and see how this tool actually works. Now, this happened to be a BT500 battery tester, and I've opened it up and actually kind of messed with it for a few seconds before I started this video. I just wanted to see how it works, just so I know what I'm doing in the video. But let's hook it up to the first battery, which is this little guy right here, and see. So this is definitely not the best example, because this battery was in the go-kart, and the go-kart's been sitting for about a year, so it's probably completely dead. And what gives it away is the power, or the tool doesn't even power on. So that's a sign that this battery is just no good. And so let's just move on to the next one. So the next battery is actually out of a Ford Focus, and it is 96R is the size, and it was made in 622, so it's about 3-4 years old. And let's just see how it does. It did power it on. So once you get the tool powered on, and it died. So the battery is most likely no good. Let me just try this on a brand new battery, just to actually show you how the tool works. How about that? So red to positive, black to negative. The tool powers on, and then once it's powered on, you choose whether it's a car, a motorcycle. This is out of a car. Again, this is for a Ford Focus, and this is a brand new battery from Walmart. Yeah, it's EverStart. They were great for a few years. Don't really have issues. And it is a brand new one, 11/24. Right now it's December 24th, almost Christmas. Merry Christmas, guys. This would be a great gift for Christmas. So then you choose 12, 24 volt. This is a 12, in or out of vehicle. This is out of vehicle, and that is a regular flooded battery. As you can tell, you can choose AGM flat plate, AGM spiral, gel, or EFB. So this is a regular one here. And we do know the cold crank amps on this one. Again, this is a 96R, and the cold cranking amps are 590. So we're gonna choose cold crank amps, which is CCA. Enter, and then it's already set at 590. We're testing, and we tested good. So the little green LED lights up, and it's good. If you needed a charge or it's poor, you would just get a different light. But again, on the screen it says 100% for both. Good battery, and it's at 12.64 volts. So this is a good battery. Obviously it's brand new. Let's move on to the next one. So the next battery is actually an H6 battery, so it's like out of a BMW, and it is actually 730 crank amps. So again, we choose car, 12 volt, out of vehicle, regular cold crank amps, and we got to turn it up to 730. So this jumps it by 50, and then if you click this, you can change it to just by 5s. So 730 cold crank amps. And again, there's instructions, and it's very easy to use. Everything is just click of a button. Click enter. It's testing, and this thing wants to be recharged and retested, and it's just the SOH is 2%, the SOC is 0%. So this thing is most likely done. I'm gonna throw it on the charger. This thing's been sitting for a while. It's only showing 7.77 volts. So it may be charged. It is a 2022 December of 2022 battery. So, and it's a pretty good one. It's a Superstar from like an O'Reilly. So it's not a cheap battery, so it may be charged and it may test good. We'll get back to that one after I charge it. So I definitely recommend this tool for everybody to have in their garage, whether it's a mower, a little dirt bike, or a big dirt bike, a little moped, a midget, go-kart, a boat. For this 2009 Crown Vic with a 7.3 Godzilla swapped with a 3.0 Whipple supercharger. This tool will save you time and money because as of right now, I think this Crown Vic's been sitting here for at least 3 to 4 months for sure, and I haven't started it. So let's see the battery, and it is completely dead, so I'm gonna have to charge it. This battery I purchased from Walmart in January of 23, so it's what, about almost 2 years old, but I'm pretty sure it'll be charged up. It's just been sitting, I haven't started it, and I forgot to disconnect it, so that'll drain the batteries, no problem. But check them out, it's VDIAGTOOL. I'll put a link in the description of their website and the link to Amazon. They also sell them on Amazon, and if you order, use my code. I'll put it up on the screen and also in the description. It'll save you 10%. This will make a great Christmas present, birthday present, or just for you to put in the toolbox, because I will be using this daily. And keep in mind, they have more than just this tool. They have scan tools. You can check your check engine light codes or your ABS codes and things like that. So check them out. So if you don't know by now and you're new to the channel, I actually live in Western North Carolina, and we got hit with the Hurricane Helene about 2 months ago, a little bit more, and I went ahead and purchased a flooded Ford Focus off the auction. It was a local auction, and I looked at the car online, couldn't view it in person, and decided to risk it because it looked pretty clean on pictures, and I bought it for parts, possibly, I don't know. Well, we're gonna find out later in this video if it is gonna be a parts car, or maybe it's gonna be a daily, who knows. It is a 5-speed manual, which I didn't know when I bought it, and didn't know the mileage, but it's looking like it's gonna be around 70,000 miles on it, according to the oil change sticker. So that's the good news. So again, by looking on pictures on the auction website, and this car was sold through an insurance. You know, I didn't see this in pictures, but it looks like it was just being towed by an RV, which is cool. This is a cool setup here. You can just hook it up, and that's why it probably has low miles. It was just being towed behind a car or RV for most of its life. And as you can see, I don't know if you can tell, but I mean, it's decent. It doesn't look like it's been flooded. And keep in mind, the auction put the flood line up here, so you know, and they left the doors open to vent it, I guess. I do see water got in the tail light, so that tells me that it was to the roof. But why is it so clean inside? I mean, I wouldn't say it's 100% clean, but it doesn't look like it's flooded. Most vehicles you see that's been flooded in this area, they have like mud on the dash and everything else. So did the insurance company actually clean this thing up before they posted it on the auction? Let me know. But anyways, this is a 2014 Ford Focus hatchback titanium 5-speed manual. It does have a little hitch, which is cool. If I do ever get it running and driving, we're gonna find out how much this thing can actually tow. Probably not much, but it does have brand new tires. This door is also open. These things are pretty popular, especially with the manual. And as you can see, there's water in there too. And the hatchback is my favorite. The sedan's cool, but the hatchback actually is cool because you have all that room. And there's a little bit of evidence there. So yeah, I can see mud under the carpet. So it looks like the insurance company did actually clean it up a little bit. Probably just pressure washed it inside. And you won't believe how much I paid for this car. My winning bid was $275. That's right, $275. You can't even buy tires for that. And with the auction fees and everything like that, I picked it up myself. It was just down the road. I paid $580 out the door with all the auction fees and everything. So did I get a good deal? Let me know in the comments. It is leather, it looks decent, but let's just see how it does. I did buy a few flooded cars in the past, and I will say I will never buy a saltwater vehicle ever again, unless it's just for parts. And I've never bought one that was actually flooded to the roof. And I showed you the water line earlier. That means that the water was actually up there. So let's get under the hood. I will say it does have brand new tires on it, which is cool, and these titanium wheels are pretty nice. So just the tires alone are probably worth about 500 bucks with wheels at least. But let's move on. So there is some kind of box here. I don't know what that is. I'm sure it's part of the towing system for the RV, which is cool. I haven't touched this car. I just brought it, still in the trailer. I don't want to take it off the trailer until I know if it's going to run or drive or whatever. And I'm not concerned much under the hood as far as water damage, because everything is sort of sealed besides this fuse box right here. But I'm talking about like the PCM, the BCM, or the PCM and transmission control module. It's all sealed. This, they forgot to clean. I do see mud in the fuses, which this right here, it is a freshwater vehicle. Look at this. There you go. There's evidence there. So we do know that this was underwater for sure. The cooling system, it is sealed, so no water got in there, which is cool. But I don't know if you can tell in video, but there's mud all over the alternator and stuff like that. So let's pull the dipstick and see if there's water in the oil. The oil level actually looks good. It's at the maximum. I don't see any water in the engine. That tells me that basically the water got in and out. It didn't stay in for long because the water would eventually got into the oil. But then again, we're gonna pull the plugs here in a little bit and see if there's water in the pistons, and we're gonna stick a camera in each cylinder, and we're gonna check for damage there. Look at that, fresh battery. Maybe we should test this one. It's a nice battery, 600 cold crank amps, and it's a nice one. So I don't know, what do you guys think? If the battery was in water, should I even charge it or just get rid of it because it could explode? Or I don't know. I don't know much about batteries, but I do see a lot of mud on top of the transmission. This thing was soaked. And they put a little bucket in here for moisture collection, which is, I guess, nice of them, but I don't know. There's mud in the speaker holes. But inside it's pretty clean. It is heated seats, and it is a push to start. The cluster looks like got a little bit of water in there too. So what do you guys think? You think I can get this thing running today or what? And like I said, under the hood, the only thing that really got wet, as I can tell, is the fuse box. And they're not sealed, you know, from the top. But everything under the hood is pretty sealed, and it's fresh water. I'm not worried about it, but the modules inside is what the problem could be. The BCM, which is the body control module, is located over here, closer to the floor, and it's not sealed. The airbag module is underneath this panel here, and it is not sealed. So things like that, like door modules, they're not sealed because it's inside the car. There's no reason to, you know, I guess, to seal them. If it was up to me, I would seal every module. I want everything waterproof, but you know, they're just trying to save money, and every car is that way. Headlights didn't get any water in them, so that's good, right? So I want to go ahead and look at the BCM, which is the body control module. I mean, it looks like it was wet. Obviously, there's mud everywhere, but it's been almost 3 months, I think, at least 2.5. So all the water should have dried up by now, and I think we could get this thing running. Now we're probably gonna have Christmas lights on the dash. Half of the stuff is not gonna work, like that navigation is probably not gonna work. The climate control is not gonna work. Heated seats may or may not work, I don't know. But I'm more focused on making this thing run and drive so I can get it off the trailer, and I I can move it around the yard at least. And I'm not sure, again, what it's going to be, whether it's going to be a parts car or it's going to be just a daily. Who knows? We'll see. But you can't pass up $275 car, and it's a complete car in good shape with brand new tires. All right, let's get this battery out of here. Looks like it's deformed, like it's bubbled out. But it is February of 2022, so I doubt it's gonna charge up, but I will try it and see. But you can tell that this thing is like bubbled out. Here's the thing about flooded cars. This thing seemed to be parked somewhere when they got flooded, which is a good thing because the engine wasn't running, car wasn't moving. So if water did get in the engine, there's a good chance I can just drain everything, lube it up, change the fluids, and it'll run. Now, if the vehicle is running and someone entered the water while it's running, water gets sucked into the engine, engine's running, high or low RPM, whatever, water gets in there, gets compressed, and the engine's gone. Either punch holes in the block, but it's gonna hydro lock and there's no going back. You gotta have to replace the whole engine. So this thing will actually run if I can get the electronics figured out, as far as I can see. But right now I'm gonna pull the spark plugs and we're gonna look inside. Uh-oh. Look at that. So cylinder number 1 has water in it. What sucks is when I pull the plug, all that water is going to dump into the piston, which is fine. And then cylinder number 4 had some oil on it, which is common because it's an older car. The valve cover gasket could be leaking. Even though it only has 70,000 miles on it, it's still, the rubber gets really hard over time. And it is 10 years old, so it's possible that the gasket is leaking. So I could get the vacuum out and vacuum some of that water out, just not to dump it into the piston. But I'm not gonna do that because I'm lazy and it's sort of starting to rain, so I'm gonna get this done real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the plugs. I recommend pulling the plugs by hand. Don't use an impact like I'm doing, but again, I do what I want. And there it goes. Alright, so my socket doesn't have the magnet or the rubber in it anymore for the spark plugs, so I just use a regular magnet to get them out. Look at that, all that water just went into the piston, the cylinder. The plugs are most likely original, which is fine because again, 70,000 miles, they're probably just due for a change, but they look to be original. They don't look bad, but it's gonna be time to change them. Come on. Oh, okay, look at this. See? So the valve cover gasket just needs to be replaced. Or the whole engine. Who knows? Flooded cars, you know what I mean? Alright, so I got the scope out. We're gonna start with cylinder number 4 because we know a bunch of water just went into cylinder 1, which is actually not great because if it sits on top of the piston, the rings will eventually leak through, and that water is going to end up in the oil pan mixed with oil. But we don't even know if there is water in oil. The camera actually swivels at the end, which is kind of cool. Okay, so we got it in there. Let's try to swivel it. Oh yeah, look at that. So water definitely got in here. Look at those sidewalls. The good thing is nobody tried to crank this thing, and I'm guessing because all the electronics got wet and they didn't even try to crank it. The key's probably not even programmed to the car at this point. I can see water sitting on top of the piston here, cylinder number 3, which is, yep, you can tell. It's not much, which is weird. Oh, wait, is that all water? I think that's all water. So they're full of water. Okay. So I'm guessing the piston rings didn't pass the water through. Okay, this one looks pretty dry, besides like a few drops. Oh, look at that. This one's clean. So here's how that works. Cylinder number 4 looks the worst, right? That's because those valves are open, whether it's exhaust or intake. I don't know yet, but they were open. They let water through either the exhaust or through the intake, which we'll find that out in a little bit. But look at that, cylinder number 2, valves, both valves were closed. Boom, spotless. You can still see the what's it called, the cross hatch or whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Alright, and then number 1, obviously we just dumped a bunch of water in it, but look at that, the valves are also closed and the block looks brand new, besides the water we just dumped in it, which is nice and clean. Not okay. Well, that's cool. So the worst one is cylinder number 4, due to the valves being open. Again, we don't know if it's the intake valves, but I think we can actually look at them. I would say it's the intake valves that are open, but not 100% sure. Looks to be like exhaust. Okay. You know, when you drop your phone in the water or a lake, you always put it in like some rice in a bag or a bowl. Does anybody have a big rice bowl I can put the whole car in? Asking for a friend. But anyways, I'm gonna put this brand new battery in that I picked up earlier that we tested just for fun, and I'm gonna put it in and see if we get any kind of power. If we do, I would like to try to crank the engine over and get some of that stuff out. But cylinder number 4 looks actually pretty bad as far as rust wise, so I'm gonna pour some ATF in there just to kind of lube things up. I don't want to scratch the walls. I mean, we don't know if the engine's gonna be a good engine or a bad engine. We're gonna find out. So I'm gonna pour a little bit of transmission fluid in there. You know the fluid is good if it's got a skull on it. Don't drink it. We don't want to be cheap with it. So I went ahead and put ATF in all 4 cylinders just because I already had it out here. Might as well, why not? Let it lube up a little bit. And I have the negative cable connected. Here it goes. Let's connect the positive. Okay, the battery's connected. I see a light on. Something tried to cycle here. That light is on. That's because the doors are open. They actually left them open. And oh, look at that. Uh-oh. Alarm's going off. That's good, right? Yo, the key works. The key actually works. So we're getting power to the BCM, pretty much everything, I guess. So this door actually closed on its own. That light is working. That light is working. This door. Okay, this door is not cooperating. That's alright. These lights are working. We're looking good. Let's try to crank it. Let's see if the seat moves. No way! The seat's going back. Back. Up and down works. Back. Forward. Yep. The seat's working. Let's put this thing in neutral. Just gotta make sure it's in neutral. Alright. I'm just gonna See if I can get the ignition on. Okay. Okay. Supposedly this is ignition on, but we're not getting any action on the cluster here. And we're not getting anything here. Oh, it tried to light up. Wake up. Lock unlock works. Hazards work. They're blinking outside, I can see it. This. So, just as I thought, everything in here is not sealed. The screen just tried to light up again. Everything in here is not sealed, so I'm assuming the cluster shot. This is gonna be, whoa, look at that. It came on. Well, it's trying to. At least the screen works. Which, I deal with these focuses all the time, so I have clusters, I have navigations, I have the climate control, I have the body control modules. Pretty much everything that I need to restore this car, I guess you could say, I have. And I'm not sure what it's doing. It's doing some kind of maintenance. I'm gonna let this actually finish up here, and then I'm gonna push the clutch in, make sure it's in neutral, and I'm gonna hit start, and we'll see if it'll crank over. Okay, that's not doing anything. I'm gonna try to crank it over. Got the clutch engaged. Let's go. No way. It's spitting out my transmission fluid in the water, which is nice. I'm gonna keep cranking it. Get all that water out of there. Alright, so far we're looking good. The starter, I'm surprised it's actually turning, because sometimes when they get wet, you know, the alternator gets wet or the solder, they don't want to cooperate anymore. But the starter is still cranking. It did spit out a bunch of some water, obviously from cylinder number 1, and then most of it's ATF, so it created a mess. But that's what you got to do. You got to make sure that you have some kind of lube in there. It's just so you don't scrape the walls with all that rust, especially in cylinder number 4, as I showed you earlier. But right now we're looking good. I want to see, I want to get the air box out. I want to see inside the air intake. I want to see if there's water sitting there. If there is, I'm gonna have to remove this intake, because I don't want that water getting sucked up into the engine when I first crank it. But hey, we're looking good. I think it might run. As far as I can tell, nothing inside works as of right now, but you know, one step at a time, right? Even after 2.5 months of the car just sitting there, this filter is still a little wet. There's dirt in the box. There's dirt everywhere in here. That's the thing about flooded cars, guys. You can try to hide things, but you won't hide everything. There's always going to be evidence of something. Looks like they didn't even try to do anything here. They did have the box loose, so they possibly pulled the box out just to look. And when I pry the throttle body open, I know I'm not supposed to do that, but I see water in there, so I'm gonna have to get that out somehow. I don't feel like removing the intake. I may just remove the throttle body and get a vacuum cleaner out here and try to suck some of that out. So let's see. Alright, well, look at all that. There's a pool in the intake. That's nice. There's sludge in there now from sitting there too long. At least the intake's gonna be nice and clean. Always look on the bright side. On a 2.0 Ford Focus engine, there is a little breather tube in the back of the intake, and this is an intake off a different car. Same car, same brand, different car, like a parts car. And if I can get to the back of the intake on this car, I can remove that hose, which is really hard to get to. If I remove that, it'll drain all that water out and I won't have to remove the intake. If I start this car like this, the way it is, and rev it, that water is going to get sucked up into the engine, and that engine is going to be trash. It's going to hydro lock. That is just to get that hose in the back of the intake and drain as much water as we can, and then eventually, obviously, I'm going to take the intake off and clean everything up. But right now, before it gets dark, I want to get to see this thing run. Maybe even drive. Alright, I think I got the clip out, or pressed in. Just need to see if I can pry it. Big hands don't fit back there. Oh, we're good. All that water is draining. All that water is draining right now. That's good. That'll save me some time. Look at that water going down. Oh no. These wires are touching. I'm like, what's that clicking sound? Let me know in the comments if you know what that is. Over there, that box over there. It does have that RV switch. Dang, that water smells bad. It smells horrible. For real though, if you could smell this water just came out of here, it smells like the septic tank. Like this thing must have been parked at the RV park, and when it flooded, all the septic tanks got washed up, and I mean, it was a mess, and it smells bad. So not all the water drained, some of it got trapped in here still, because this is a little bit higher than the very bottom of the intake, and you're looking at the back side of the intake right now. So this is the engine side, and this is what I pulled out. So some of the water still stayed in there. I ended up getting the vacuum out here, so this should take care of the rest of that water in there. I'd rather be safe and get all of it out. The vacuum took care of the rest of the water in the intake manifold. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and clean off the spark plugs, because I don't have any new ones to put in. And we're just going to put them back in. And going to go ahead and crank it. Now, the throttle body, I also sprayed with some brake cleaner, and I'm hoping it's going to work. And if it doesn't, I have another one. I actually have like 20 of these just laying around. So we're going to try the original one and see. So far, we've spent $0, and let's see if it starts. Alright, so it's all back together. I put the original spark plugs back in for now. I just want to see if this thing will run. Again, I don't know if any water got in the gas tank at this point, but the dipstick is showing oil to the max, so it's not higher than the max. I wouldn't worry about it, but I'm not going to run it for long at the moment. I just want to see if it'll fire. Maybe this thing decided to dry up a little more. No, nothing else is working. Right now the ignition is on because I heard it cycle under the hood. I'm pressing the gas pedal right now, and I can hear the throttle body moving, so that's a good sign. So it should work. I've got it in neutral, and pushing the clutch in. First crank, let's go. No? It's gonna run. It's trying to fire. There it goes. Oh, it fired, and I heard water. Yeah, so water came out of the exhaust. A lot of water came out of the exhaust. So there's just a lot of water in the exhaust system right now. And there we go. alternator might be seized. Oh, baby, idle. It doesn't want idle, but it sounds great. So it's got a little smoke. That's just the ATF burning off. No big deal. Yeah, so it doesn't want to stay idling, but the engine sounds pretty healthy. I'm wondering if maybe the throttle body is bad. It does rev up, but I don't think it opens up enough to idle or something like that. So I might try to switch that out. But right now I want to hook up the OBD scan tool, and I want to see what kind of codes, if any, or will it even communicate with any modules. Also, it could be the MAF airflow sensor, because that got soaked. I left the filter out for now because it is a little wet. Put the box back together because it is drizzling a little bit, but I think it might be either the throttle body or the MAF airflow sensor for the idle issue. So unfortunately I won't be able to drive it in this video, but let me know what you think I should do with this car. Obviously I'm not gonna sell it to the public, but I would like to get everything working. Oh, no way. This just turned on. Let's see. Okay, well, the screen lit up. That's a plus. So it's coming back to life. Eventually it'll all come back to life. Climate control is still not working, but as you can see, the stereo lit up, and that hasn't happened before, so that's a good sign. Let's hook up an OBD scan tool and see what it does. Look at that, I just opened the OBD port. Look at all that mud. So yeah, this thing for a fact was flooded up to the roof. The fact that it started, that's crazy. The key locks and unlocks. The stereo came back on. Well, the screen, nothing else works. I don't know when the key is on because the cluster, nothing lights up. The climate control is still out of whack. But check this out. I did scan it with my Launch 431 Mini. I use the scan tool for like quick scans, and it'll scan every module on the vehicle. Like this vehicle probably has about 14 to 16 modules or something on board, and it'll scan them all. And it did pull up the VIN and everything. It's a 2.0 liter. So let's go get a health report going, and we'll see what it reads. quick health report. And you can also use Forescan. I use Forescan for pretty much everything on the car until I have to actually program modules, which then I get either IDS, which it is for the older Fords, like this one, 2014, or for the newer ones, you got to use the FRDS or FDRS. I always get those mixed up. So it's doing a quick scan. It's at 40%. It's probably going to have every code possible. Audio control module not equipped. That means that thing is soaked, which is the whole main thing behind that screen, which I have one of those, no problem. Driver front door module, BCM, PCM, ABS fault. Body control module has 13 faults. The fact that the seats move forward, back, up and down. So I'm curious to see what the BCM shows. So it's trying to communicate, but okay, there it is. Light switch module, steering wheel module, control module, ambient, left turn indicator, low beam, blah blah blah, PATS. Ooh, the PATS. How's it even starting then if there's a PATS code? Left stop lamp, missing communication with the HVAC. So bunch of codes. Mainly the BCM actually controls everything inside the vehicle and some of the exterior lights. Actually I think all the exterior lights. Anyways, it got really wet and it's underneath the glove box inside. It's not sealed at all, so everything got wet, including the climate control. The cluster is completely shot, looks like. It doesn't even come up on the code when I scan it. It doesn't come up with anything, I think, with the IPC. Powertrain control module. Yo, I'm curious. It's got two codes, and that is why I think we have an idle issue. Let's check that out. Alright, so the PCM is throwing some codes for the throttle pedal position sensor, which I figured because, you know, it could be actually the pedal. I've seen this code for both. Sometimes the pedal goes bad, sometimes the actual throttle body. If I had to guess, it's probably the pedal because it is inside the vehicle and it is not water sealed. May not have dried up, but I have both. I have a pedal, I have a throttle body, so we'll get that taken care of. But that is why it's not idling properly, and that's the only two codes I'm getting with the PCM. Honestly, I thought I would see a lot more codes when I scan it, but I'm guessing everything sort of dried up. And for example, the airbag only has like, the airbag system only has like one code, which is for this light, for the passenger airbag on and off switch. So, and this whole thing is dead. I'm guessing that's probably what it is. But the SRS module, the airbag module, is actually under here, and usually when that gets wet, it'll say no communication with the module, but it is communicating and it's reading codes. So that's just crazy. I was able to clear the PCM code, so I'm gonna try to start it again and see how it does. Alright, so I was able to clear the PCM codes. I'm gonna go ahead and start it and see what happens. Okay, it still doesn't want to idle. It actually even runs worse now. There you go. There it goes. So there is throttle response. The position sensor is just not working. So, but it's all in one. I believe it's a throttle body issue, and I kind of figured it got a little wet. So by a little wet, I mean a lot. So stay tuned. Let me know what you think I should do with this thing. Everything's kind of coming back to life. I do have a lot of parts to fix it. Like I said, I won't be selling it to the public, but it is only 70,000 miles on this thing, so I'll probably like drive it myself or something. It's cool. It's a 5-speed. Maybe I'll put a turbo in it. Maybe like all-wheel drive swap it or something. Like and subscribe. Later.